Hello. Welcome to this week's edition of the Turning Points podcast. I don't know why I said podcast, but it's going to be a good one because we get to speak to the lovely and radiant Lori Jones, who is all about trust in spirit, trust in, the guidance that comes from within, the intuition, and gratitude, man. She just, everything gratitude and everything trust. And I really enjoyed that perspective.
Lori Jones is a dear friend of ours, and she's a big part of the Ivy House family. She's a massage therapist, reflexologist, although she said she's going to be retiring within a year and a half, 2 years. And so, she's transitioning now to her new life, as she's writing a book right now, and she's developing a coaching clientele, and she's got all kinds of stuff going on. Lori's saying is, be kind to yourself so that you can be kind to others.
Oh, I love that. Hell yeah. Go be a Lori. Enjoy the podcast.
Hello, Lori Jones.
Hi, Corinne. Hi, Sean.
Hey, what's up? How you been?
Good. Living the life. Grateful and happy, and letting my light shine.
Right on.
That's what you do.
Thank you.
That's why we asked to have you on here, because she's a little love bucket. We're going to hope to bring that out and share that with our listeners. So let's start off with our question, our podcast question. And many seekers can recall that point in time when they started to question their so-called reality that they were taught. So do you remember when you became a seeker?
Well, I was in I remember being in about 15 in 8th grade. I went to a Catholic school, and I remember we got to write a research paper on anything. And I thought, gosh, I'm going to write a research paper on Buddhism. Like, that just seems so fascinating. So about 15, I fortunately had a really great English teacher across the street from me, and she helped me write a research paper on Buddhism. So the nonviolence, the non-duality at 15. So, and then I just started listening to the voice that was constantly talking to me instead of ignoring it at a young age, 16. So I'm around there.
So were you raised Christian at all?
Well, we were raised love. My mom was Lutheran, my dad was Baptist, and they sent us to a Catholic school. So, I mean, like, what in the world is going on? But the premise of our household was love. It wasn't like, oh, don't eat meat on Friday and don't do this and go confess your sins. And it was just love in our home.
So that was what you were raised on, was love.
Yep.
That's pretty amazing. So the Buddhism kind of fit right in with that.
Yeah, I thought, okay, well, mom's Lutheran, dad's Baptist. I've gone to a Catholic school. Let's try Buddhism now.
Now, Buddhism is quite a different philosophy, if you will, than most of the Christian faiths. Do you recall when you did the research paper? Was it startling how many differences, or did it actually seem more cohesive than I'm making it to sound?
It seemed more in alignment. Like, I was like, oh, this seems so normal. Like this, yes. So it just kind of, I flowed with it.
And then how did listening, you said you at around 16, you started listening to your inner voice. So can you remember a time or why or how or?
Yeah, actually, my girlfriends and I were getting ready to go out. We're all dressed up. I remember I had this cute mini skirt on, and all of a sudden I was standing in my friend's kitchen, and I heard the voice, "Go home now." And I was like, what are you talking like? And I told my girlfriend, I said, you have to take me home. And she's like, what are you talking about, Jones? Come on, let's go and party. And I said, no, you guys have to take me home. So yeah. So she took me home, and that night they were somewhere they shouldn't have been, and they all got arrested. So, young girls. But from that moment on, Corinne, I knew that the voice protected me, and I just was always in tune. I shouldn't say always in tune, but I was like, wow, this this got me out of trouble. This protected me. So there's something to this inner voice.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, because I think I think we all have that inner voice. I mean, well, I don't think we all have that inner voice, but we either do. I mean, there's many things we can go that from it. We don't listen to it, we ignore it, we don't trust it. So it's really cool that right away from the get go, it was like a confirmation to trust it.
yes, and it was a part of me.
Right.
And even if it was silly, like, oh, pick that pen up, or I just did it, and it always provided protection or just in alignment. So even in traffic, I would hear turn left, and if I didn't turn left, there was a traffic jam 2 miles up. So I was like, you know what? You really need to listen to this all the time.
Wow.
Now, did you find yourself distrusting in it or challenging it or did you
testing it?
Yeah. Testing it. Good question. I more around family. It seemed like because I was in that, the family dynamics early on, like in my young adolescence, that it's like respect your parents and listen to what I say, and you're 12 until you're 18, and just the beliefs or the discipline and disciplines that my parents had expected of me. Probably, yeah, that's yes.
Well, the reason I asked that because I feel like I resonate with that experience to a degree. I guess I've experienced a relationship with an intuition or a discernment.
Okay.
My experience was more of I bought into the idea that I or me was the one who was good at making good decisions in life. I bought into more the egoic aspect of it.
Okay.
And so I've had similar experiences that it's funny that as you're saying this, I'm having like these flashes of memories of kind of that age group for me. And, I was more, I guess, adventurous with it. Like it wasn't really, I didn't have a dialogue necessarily. It was just go here now, but it was just part of a walk where I wasn't necessarily aware of that as you're kind of describing. But so the reason I asked, what did you challenge it? Because it became a very confusing mechanism for me, and in trusting in that and over intellectualizing that relationship with intuition, with that inner dialogue, became almost a paralyzing effect because I would second guess it to the point where I'd guess it 100 times and then not move, not do anything, and suffer unnecessarily because that was why I asked the question, I guess. So
okay. Not really. Yeah.
I love it. Nope, not at all.
Nope, didn't bet. Nope, I always trusted it.
I'm sure I was adventurous too. But I just always felt protected and knew that it was there. So
why challenge it when it's taking
right, when it has my best interest at heart.
Yeah.
That's especially when she was shown so young, like that a clear memory like that, like being at a party, voice says to go home. Usually a young girl 16 is like, I'm going out with my friends, gonna ignore that voice. You listen to it, and then it's a really bad night for them. Like that's a pretty significant.
Yeah.
Ooh, I got goosebumps coming out. So thank you. That's the truth.
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough. I was never peer pressure. That's just who I was. And I always asked my brother, I'm like, where did this confidence come from? I was never bullied or none of that. I just always had this confidence, and I'm grateful.
I think that, because I've known you for 7 or 8 years now.
Yeah, 8 years.
8 years now. And I think if I was to sum you up in in one word, even though it's not possible, but grateful is one of the words that I would use, because you exude gratitude.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It fuels me, and it's yes.
So do you think you had that in your teenage years, or did you grow into that?
Well, I was raised around my grandparents, my dad's parents, and they were older, and just the wisdom of being around both of them. The stories, I mean, my grandparents were born in 1907, and here I am. My grandmother always taught me, she said, Lori, don't let anyone ever steal your sunshine. And just the wisdom of the elders, which is so lost in our society. So I was grateful that I was around that. I mean, blessing.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a powerfully positive influence, because grandparents are that secondary parental unit, especially if you have them, living close to you, and you get a little different angle on life from grandparents, because they're there and you trust them in most cases. You trust your grandparents, but they're a little looser with the rules in a lot of ways, where they kind of they teach you to let go of the rules every once in a while.
Yes, well said. Well said.
While guiding, I always felt, because I have both my grandparents, and I actually still have both my grandparents, and it wasn't.
You're so lucky.
Well, that's a different conversation.
Okay.
I am. Yes, I am. I have a lot of experience with them, but it wasn't necessarily that, that present and that aware and, that empowering.
Okay.
To the child to say, don't let people steal your sunshine. You're getting positive affirmations that you're sunshine. I mean, your beauty, you're being called beautiful, and you're being empowered with that by saying, don't let somebody else steal that from you, meaning you have the ability to maintain that. That speaks volumes to, the foundation that you had in a family unit.
Absolutely. And gratitude is started when I was that little,
So you feel like you embodied that even when you were young?
Absolutely. Even my friends, we reconnected in my friends from second grade. We when Facebook started in 2009, my one friend said, Laura, you were always like this. I was like, I was? He said, yeah, you were always, optimistic. I mean, that's grade 2. So what are you, 7?
7 or 8? Yeah. Grade 2.
7 or 8? I'm like, cool.
It's funny how friends, my friends say the same thing. They're like, we knew you'd go to India and have an orphanage and marry an Indian man. And I'm like, what? Like, are you, maybe that seems obvious now. To me, it doesn't. But yeah,
like no one told me.
Yeah, exactly. So you're, yes, you are absolutely optimistic too. I think we share that. Both of us are very optimistic and positive. I was an eternal optimist too, no matter what struggles I went through, which I went through a lot. I would just come out, just look at the best, look at the gifts in it. Like, I like that one. You ever seen that meme where it's like somebody falls down the stairs and they're like, oh, and they either swear, and like when I fall down the stairs, it's like, oh, excuse me, I needed that. It's like, oh, I wonder what the universe, needed to tell me with that. It's like everything.
Yeah.
I needed that lump on my shoulder or whatever. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, I don't know very much about your life. Yeah. Sort of after that line, like, did you go to college? When did you?
So yeah. I went right to massage school right out of high school. So I've been massaging almost 30 years. So yeah, so my family supported me with that. My cousins always said, well, you were always massaging at the family barbecues. And I was like, I was. So, and I, sitting in the Catholic school and staring out the stainless glass windows and talking to God, I said, God, I want to do something I love. I said, I don't want to work for corporate America. And I want to spread the good news like Jesus. I mean, who says that at 10 years old? not work for corporate America.
No, but they should.
Right. So I got the download, I got downloads early.
You did.
Or I just came in with, I came in with it.
I don't think I know anybody that went to massage school out of high school.
Yep.
Usually people kind of go to it later in their 20s or 30s.
Yeah. So 18 years old.
Yeah. And I never knew that.
Oh.
That's
my brother was a professional hockey player, and I would work his teammates and stuff. And they're like, Lori, you need to do this for a living. And I'm like, what? Touch men or like what? So I was like, okay, sign me up. So one of my brother's friends actually enrolled me in massage school. So, I mean, the universe was like, here you go.
Man, that's wild. So, and when you got to massage school, did it fit right? I mean, did you ever question these paths in your life? It was there for you, and it resonated, and that was the service to do at that time.
Yep. And then I said, okay, when I'm done, I want to connect with someone that has a business and then I could mentor with, and poof, I connected with my reflexology teacher. She had already had a business. She had quit GM, and she had one massage and it changed her life, and she opened a healing center, and that's who I met. And I worked with her for 14 years.
Wow.
And taught massage and taught reflexology. And she just told me the other day, she said, I wish I had 10 of you. So I'm like, oh, thank you. I'm honored.
Well, and that's the funny thing is like, I guess the questions are, it's like usually there's these forks in roads and these, massive turning points. You seem to really develop a trust with Source early on, and that continued into your adult life. And so in the first 14 years of massage, did you feel like you were doing your purpose, or did
Absolutely. I was spreading the good news. People were out of pain. People were happy to see me. I mean, it's been the most amazing journey. Yeah.
And it's abundant too. I mean, you do. I mean, my life changed financially when I started doing massage. It was like I was never broke again, and I could do it anywhere.
Yeah, it just, people show up. I mean, it's do it. People say I'm a miracle worker. I'm grateful. God works through me.
Yeah, you are a miracle worker.
So so yes, I mean, your question is a great question. I don't know if it fits to me.
Well, it fits. I think it fits almost everybody. But to me, it's not just one turning point. What we do ask, do you remember when your childhood beliefs didn't work? But to me, there's many, like when I'm writing my book, it's like I had many turning points. And Sean just called it a crossroad. Although my sister was like I was working on my book overview the other day, and I said turning point or crossroads, and my sister's like, well, it's up to you. But she said, to me, a crossroads more like a fork in the road where you have to make a decision. She said a turning point is more like when a change occurs, when something happens and a shift occurs. And I was like, yeah, I think you're kind of right. So it's interesting that you just said that, Sean, turning point or crossroads.
So it's like more transformational, internal transformation.
Yeah, I think so. That's what I consider turning points to be, like, just like where you look at things differently after a certain event or a situation, So,
Definitely.
and I certainly know another one in your life, but I want to, yeah, go ahead. What's your next thing after massage school and 14 years of working there? What do you think your next turning point would be?
So I felt like I was outgrowing it. I was there for 14 years, and I said, all right, God, I want to trust more. I want to experience something new. And, from there, it was like, okay, I went and volunteered at a music festival. I fell in love with massaging the musicians. And then I was like, you know what? I could move out of state. I'd like to move out of state and learn a new city. And that'll be really good for my brain. And I can trust. So let's go. And then I ended up meeting a guy. He was a videographer, and he was starting to do work here in Nashville. And he was like, would you ever consider moving to Nashville? And I said, absolutely. I said, I'm a feeler, so I have to go and feel the city and see if it's, if I connect with it. And sure enough, I came and I loved it. I fell in love with it. I was like, oh yeah, this is a good feel. Yeah, I could live here. And then a bonus, the musicians were here. So I moved here in 2013, not knowing anyone but my boyfriend. And then I thought, oh my God, wouldn't that be cool if there was a massage therapist in the recording studio? Well, sure enough, he called me, a couple days later, said, you'll never believe it. He goes, oh, you'll believe it. He said, I met the massage therapist here. And she said, yeah, come on down. You can give her a massage and connect and she can help you. And the rest is history. Until 4.5 years later, where he had a massive heart attack and passed away. So yeah, turning point. But thank God I had the stability. Thank God I had the spiritual connection. Thank God I had, my clients and my passion of massage to keep me going and to fuel me otherwise I probably would have still be on the couch eating bonbons and, I've lost my mind. So again, the gratitude of him getting me to Nashville, because I don't know if I would have moved here by myself. So I'm grateful for Harry Jarvis for getting me here. And I have an angel now. So looking over me.
And you have another angel with your father too.
Yes, my father passing away, that big protective of a man. So yes, he is, and so I have 2 angels and I speak to them often.
And have you ever gotten signs or do you get messages from either one?
Absolutely. Harry will drop dimes. I've been finding dimes the past couple of weeks, or actually a month. Just even my mom, she's like, oh, I found a dime. Yeah. To signs, to hawks, yes, the signs come.
Have you watched that show on Netflix? It's a series on Netflix called We Don't Die or After Death, or it's a mini series, like 5, and it's on a life, like signs like that. So one of them is about kids that can remember their previous life and they can tell their parents, give their address and tell what their mother's name was and what they did for a living. And they've done studies on it and they go back and they find actually and in some cases some people are even still alive and they can describe, they'll put, and then there's one episode on that. There's another episode on signs like the birds and the dimes and things like that. Another episode on mediums. Anyways, it's a really, really good show if you're into.
No, I haven't seen any of that, but I love all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So will you want to share with us how Harry, your beloved that passed away, how he introduced and found your new beloved after he passed away?
So I was like, all right, God, I'm about 18 months later. I was like, okay, I feel like I've, gone through the grieving process or the letting go process. And I was out one night and my boyfriend, Harry had shot a music video at this venue downtown. So I was there with cousins showing them a good time. And my current boyfriend walked in and I saw him and he saw me and we've been together ever since.
But wasn't there some kind of connection with Harry? Like he was wearing the same shoes so it was the club that Harry shot a video at, but then his last video
had shot there. And then Charles had actually had on Converse shoes. And Harry loved Converse. Harry had all different kinds of Converse. And then even the night, a couple weeks later when Charles was coming over, I was leaving a client's house and there was a white a white owl on the line, on the telephone line. And I looked that up and it was like, oh yeah, a message from someone that had passed away is giving you like, okay, the green light to move forward. So grateful.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. It's like we talk a lot about getting into a trusting or, flow state. And, it's funny. I'm not trying to bait you for, problems in your life or struggles to trust. And I hope I don't come across that way, but because I think I think we all come to that trust differently and at different,
Absolutely.
And it's interesting. I guess it's interesting for me because I I was a shitty truster for a long time, and I think this is it sounds like a testament to having awareness, bringing that mindfulness into your life, trusting when that voice, that gravity, that intuition, whatever you call it, is guiding you towards something, and just look around you for the signs to the affirmations. I mean, it's funny how much when you look back on your life, how many affirmations there are, or how many like little clues there seems to be, or synchronicities, however, whatever the verbiage is. And it seems like you kind of dove into that at a very young age and just carried that through and trusted in that was going to bring you to what you needed at all times in your life. And it would not that it was going to be easy. I mean, losing a loved one is never easy, but it doesn't have to be a curse or a burden or something that traumatizes you forever. Um, these are experiences that we have, and all of our experiences teach us in some way. So it's fast. I'm actually fascinated that in your ability, or I guess your trust in, because I'm sure you're grieved. I saw you around that time when that happened, and I actually didn't know that was what happened, but I remember some instances of tears and loss and grieving, and so I know it wasn't easy, but how you have allowed that situation to guide you and be something of a motivator to continue on in life and to maintain that trust and relationship with source is wonderful. It's beautiful.
Thank you. I'm grateful. Because my current boyfriend is, I'm learning so much from him, and just the peace and the patience and just the unconditional love and the generosity is, wow, it's mind blowing. It's really, I wish everyone can feel unconditional love like this. Heaven, I'm living heaven on earth. And I want to create that. I want to share that with everyone I come in contact with, and hopefully I do.
Well, I know personally you do. I mean, every time you come into Ivy House, you light it up, and you and I are both kind of Pied Pipers. Like when we believe in something and we want to share the love, because I just brought people to the retreat center this past weekend to Wellbeing. Brought a little group with me, and that was amazing. And you've brought so many people to Ivy House, and continue. And we just, but it's not. It was so weird when I lived in LA for a while. Every time I would refer somebody, or somebody would refer they would want some kind of financial reciprocation or a guarantee that, like, it was always a transaction. When I'm like, no, I'm just going to share this information with you. I don't need anything in return. It's like, it's just love. It comes back in other ways. We don't need to.
Tenfold. Tenfold. I mean, yeah. People get attached to that. Oh, you got to pay me. I'm like, yeah, I don't live like that, because it's living with the open heart and knowing that we're always provided for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
the trust that we're always provided for. That's a good one for you, huh, Sean?
That is ever present, even more so. I mean, I like that you're using gratitude so often in this conversation, because that's been I think over last year, pretty much since everything shut down, and then, having to stay kind of in our little hermit space that we have up here, there was just abundance of gratitude, because if you shut yourself off from the distractions of, small things that are thoughts, fears, whatever it might be, that are distracting you from being in that space of gratitude, it grows exponentially. The more experience you have with the gratitude, the more it grows. And, lately it's just been in kind of this awe of, like, I know what I've done to get to this point. I know how much I've worked. I know how much we've sacrificed. I know how much my wife has sacrificed for my lifestyle choices, and I know how much we've sacrificed being home with our kids and trying to be present in that experience. So I know all of these things, and yet I sometimes just have this moment where I'm in awe of the space and our property and our house, and I'm just like, how in the world, given my absolute state of disobedience and downright, rebellion towards trusting in that force, that intuition, how did this land in my lap? How do I get to experience that? And the only way I can wrap my head around that is just grand gratitude and just a feeling of kind of just in awe. It's a weird space to be in, but it's been very serving. So I'm glad that you seem like a poster child for gratitude today. That's fantastic.
Today and
Thank
every
you.
day.
Thank you. Yes.
So tell me where this is taking you now, because I know you're working on a book, and I think you did. So we interviewed Rudrani last week.
Oh, good.
We were rutified last week.
Woo! Yes, man, full of life. Woo.
Yeah, her energy was just like, whoo.
Good.
She's full on. Yeah, it was great. It was great to connect with her. So, and you brought her to the Ivy House, even though I'd met her years ago, but you brought her just like you do. And so I think you had done you did some work with her, I'm thinking.
Yeah, she actually helped me with grieving, and then she's helped me on many levels. I've been working with her for almost 5 years. So just clearing energy, and not only clearing energy, but helping remove beliefs that aren't working anymore, and just being mindful of that and releasing that. And so, yes, she helps me.
Nice. And so what's your next step in the Lori world now? Because I know, I have a clue of what's going on, but share with us what you're thinking your next 10 years is going to look like.
10 years. Woo! Well, I'm
Okay.
writing a book right now. So I like to use my book as a coaching tool, and help people, cultivate creating heaven on earth. So I'm excited about that. So
how's the writing going?
Mom was here for a couple weeks, so it was on hold. So I can't wait to get back on. We have different chapters and different, I'll pick back up.
Oh, yeah, it's a process. I learned that with my music years ago. It's like sometimes I'll pick up my guitar every day and write a song every day, and other times I actually won't even pick up my guitar. I don't do it so much anymore, but I wouldn't pick up my guitar for 6 months. So the creative process has to call you.
Well, too, and I've been asking, talk about trusting, Sean. It was like, okay, you want me to write a book now? Okay. I don't know how to write a book, but let's ask for someone to come and help me. And sure enough, a client of mine is going to Belmont right now for creative writing. And she was like, oh yeah, I'd love to show you how many chapters, how many pages. And she just spilled it. She just wrote it all out for me. And so I meet with her once a week. So again, it showed up. I asked, so I'm grateful. I have 4 chapters written and I have 8 to go. So yeah, I like to use that as my coaching tool.
Now, will you be coaching from like a massage therapist point of view?
No, so I'm going to be retiring from massage within a year and a half, 2 years. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm switching gears. I'm listening.
How does that feel?
A little anxious, a little nervous. But again, I'm trusting. I'm putting my trust pants on.
It's hard. I tried to retire from massage 3 different times, and I would, but I did it incrementally, and
Yes.
And then finally, I pretty, other than like 2 clients, I've been retired from massage for 2 or 3 years now, and but yeah, it's scary because it is such a consistent income. And it's been 30 years, over 30 years for you. It was almost 30 years for me. And so I think it's the security, the financial part for me, it was. And then the confidence to like say that I am something else, like, and put it out there. Like, the whole life coaching thing for me, it was like, I felt like I had been life coaching for many years. I just hadn't gotten paid for it. And then I And then stating that, like, that's a new thing when you're like, this is what I'm doing now. It's a big, so I honor you for doing that, and support you, and am excited for you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to be asking you how you gradually, you know, cut back from massage. And I may work with whoever I want to instead of working because I have to pay because I'm paying the bills. You know.
Yeah, that's how I did it. Well, first of all, I raised my prices, which I think you've already done. I
Yeah.
raised my prices quite a bit. That cut out a lot of clients, and I would recommend them to other people. And then and yeah, the next step, I just picked and chose the ones that I wanted, and then that slowly started to whatever is close. Like I had sent people to you, and
So grateful. Yes.
Raquel, and yeah, and it slowly started. So it's a natural thing. It's just that attachment that we have to that role that we've played for so long, that has brought us so much security and an image, I guess, right? Like, and the longer we do it, the more it's kind of sticky. But we're malleable enough; we can peel away those layers. And
Yeah, I love touch. So touch is I'm very, tactile. So I'm like touching, and so it's new, and it'll be a slow process, and like you said, a gradual. So,
yeah, it
but
doesn't have to be overnight.
yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm excited to finish a book and write a book, and get out there differently, and be like Jesus, a way shower.
Well, you are a way shower anyway. You are
Thank you,
bringing the good news
friend.
anyway. So it'd just be bringing the good news in a different way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I could see you like teaching workshops on your book, and then teaching some massage. Like, everybody will be in a little train, turn around, okay, do this. And like, I could see you still working it in. And that's what I've done over the years, is all the different tools that I use sort of all of them in my workshops and retreats and stuff like that. It comes back
More
around,
tools.
right?
More
Yeah.
tools.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fantastic. Good for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, we're here to grow and expand, and trust and trust and trust.
Oh, that trust part is so hard. I mean, it's been hard for me. I see it in a lot of other people, and one of the things, and I'm thankful for this conversation, because I think the dialogue in our society and our culture, I mean, for sure in my generation and the generations below, is there's no dialogue about trusting. We have such a distrust honestly, because of religious mega, establishments that have, lost trust. And it's unfortunate, because the core value is still innate in a lot of those, in every of the philosophy, in most cases. So it's frustrating to watch that core value be overshadowed by, life experiences, or people failing to, live up to a standard of trust. And so we just have lost that trust in dialogue, and we don't talk about it that much. And because it's hard, because, well, what do you trust in? Well, you got to trust in your intuition. Right. How the hell do I do that? And there's a lot of tools, and it's finding the right tool for you at different stages of your journey. And
Absolutely.
And that's why it's important to have people that in our lives that walk with us, that don't force us into situations, don't judge us in situations, but they just watch, listen, and adapt to what it seems like you might need at that moment, and then guide you and show you the way at those very instrumental times. And so I'm sure you'll do amazing with that.
Thank you.
So that's a good segue, Sean. I think we could maybe talk about, because all three of us are self-employed, and that's kind of rare thing, really. Not the most common thing. So how do you trust in, not just in what you do for a living, but trust in life? What tools have you used, Lori?
Oh, definitely meditation. Meditation, gratitude, and love. And being generous. Being generous with my time, with my whatever, not whatever, but generosity in many forms.
So tell me a little more about that.
Just if some, like one of my love language is gifting. So I gift people, just different things like wine or tea or flowers or my time or, even, uh, okay, those things. And then also what really works for me is I let people know that I'm thinking of them often. So reaching out to people and, hey, I'm thinking of you, and or sending cards or sending flowers or, just sharing on many, sharing.
And I hope you add that in your book. Okay, good. Because it seems like you're even saying it like, oh, it's just like it's so natural for you. And it is,
I know.
but it's not natural for many people. And I know because I sort of do the same thing in a different way. But so I'm assuming when you bring flowers and you do cards and you send text messages, you're do it like you just think of somebody, and you do it right. And instead of going on to the next thing or calling somebody or being distracted on your phone, you follow through with that intuition that's coming. I'm guessing.
So
Yeah.
that's the voice, and it's or the voice, and I know, it's like, okay, mom, it's like acting on what's right now.
Yeah.
Instead of, oh, you know what, I'm going to wait, I'm going to do my to-do. No, do it now. So
Yeah. That's right.
So,
That's
and
because a lot of people don't do that. They will think of somebody that they haven't thought of for a while, and then they'll just continue pumping their gas and then checking their phone, right? And whereas when you're listening and you're present and you follow through with those, I mean, how many times do you think of somebody and they call 10 seconds later
mm-hmm.
or text 10 seconds later? Like
Yep.
that kind of stuff is happening to us all the time. It's just, and that was, I brought, did just a very short silent retreat this past weekend, Friday to Sunday. But even the people that I brought, they had never done retreat before. I brought 4 people with me, and I brought Minu and Zach.
Oh,
And,
awesome.
yeah, and then another Lissa, and then Jamie Floyd, the singer, Jamie. They all came, never done a retreat before, and they were just so blown. Oh, you know what Jamie said? This is really funny. We're driving back yesterday, and she's like, so getting ready for bed. We'd gone into silence Friday night. She's like, getting ready for bed. We all had our own rooms, and she's like, usually I like read or check my messages or something. So she's like, I didn't know how to like go to sleep. It's like, do I just turn the light off and close my eyes?
Oh.
He just kept going on and on about, does it just happen? Like, I was like, yeah, people have been falling asleep for thousands of years without their phones.
Oh, that's so
And that's what I think when we shut off the devices for a while, we create space for these messages. And so you're already doing that because you have a daily meditation practice, because there's a lot of silence and meditation in massage that you do for a living, which is so beautiful that you chose that, or that it chose you for a living, because you hear when you're doing massage, you just know where to go on people. It's feeling, but it's also intuition. Right?
Definitely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that definitely has, working with the body has definitely, I've learned so much about faith and trust right there. So that's helped cultivate my, my continual faith and trust.
Well, and it's funny because those, speaking about self-employment, those tools are very counterintuitive to what your brain wants to do. There are so many things you can worry about in self-employment, like when am I going to get into the next call, or this week is really light, I don't have, a lot of work this time, and you can get captivated by the worry and captivated by the fear and the not having that. It's very easy to stay in that space. But what you're talking about, the sharing and the giving, these are ways out of that perpetuating fear experiences, and they're very valuable. But you talk about, well, it's just kind of natural. Eventually, it will become natural, and it just kind of comes out to you. But as a practice, it's great because, and I do these like little things where, like, if I'm worried about money, I'll go buy a Starbucks espresso because I don't have an espresso machine. So it's very risque. I mean, I am spending hundreds of dollars, but like when I feel worried because of an unknown or something like that, I'll go spend money to combat that worry. Cause it's like, what am I worried about here with finances and, and so I'll be like, okay, well, I can lighten up, go have a coffee, and then it just goes away. And the same thing is like if I'm in time where I'm like I don't have a lot of work right now or whatever, check in and check in with people, with friends, send silly shit around because that's my thing, and it breaks you out of those patterns of worry big time. So
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I've been the recipient of a lot of your gifts, including just you,
Oh, thank you.
and
Likewise.
showing up with flowers many times, giving me a 2-hour massage on my birthday every year, which is like the best gift I get every year.
Oh, thank you.
And so yeah, to me, when you have an abundant heart, that's what abundance truly is. Like I was trying to tell somebody yesterday, it's like when I think that I learned this from Wayne Dyer years ago. He's like, there was a story of this secretary that used to steal pencils from the corporation she worked at. She'd take a box of pencils home once a week or whatever. And he said that that showed the universe she wasn't trusting, even though it was a small thing. It just shows the universe she doesn't trust herself to be able to go to Office Depot and buy her own. It's like it's a lack of abundance to do that. And so what you guys are talking about is the exact opposite. Sean, like you have that fear. It's like, no, I trust the abundance. So I'm going to make a ridiculous purchase of expensive coffee. And, and same with you, Lori. It's like you just have so much abundance of your time, and really our time and attention is our most valuable commodity.
Yeah.
And so when you give of your time, it's actually the greatest gift we can give to ourselves and to anybody. So when you give that to people, that you're just showing the universe you're abundant, and the universe doesn't know the abundance in any other. It just knows abundance, right? It's like trusting the parking lot. But people are like, well, how do you get parking spaces? And you practice on the little thing like a parking spot. You send your parking angels ahead, and then you get a parking spot, and then you trust that you can do that with bigger things because the universe doesn't know the difference. I'm sure you practice all that stuff, right?
Yes. I'm wanting to experience a new home now. So I've been playing with that and trusting.
You gonna buy or?
Yes, I would love to.
We'll see.
I'm
open.
Yeah. Yes, I'm open.
Beautiful. And we're still due I need to meet Charles, damn it.
Oh, okay.
I believe you've had Minu and Zach over for dinner.
Okay. We can arrange that.
You got called out on a podcast, and so you can't.
I like being called out. That's how I get better.
Oh my God, that's so true. That is so true. That's funny.
Yeah, we call Sean out on the podcast all the time.
See, Sean? Yeah, no, that works for me. Yeah. I like that.
Well, we're our biggest blind spot, right? I mean, our programming, our belief, our false beliefs. We're our biggest blind spot. So it's good to have good people who will call you out in a loving way.
Yeah, I never knew I did dishes really fast. And Charles is like, you do the dishes really fast. I said, you know what? No one has ever pointed that out to me. I am so grateful. He's like, slow down. So, yeah.
That's beautiful. I love it's actually a Buddhist saying is like, are you doing the dishes to get them done? Or are you doing the dishes?
Ooh, that's nice. Good. Yes, I have my little Zen master here.
I love that.
So yes, we will have you over for dinner. And Sean, if you were closer, we would have you over for dinner too.
Oh, awesome. I might have to hire you to do a massage before you bail on that profession. So
okay, we can do that.
Right on.
Well, Lori, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today and sharing your humongous heart.
Aww,
light.
You're welcome. Thank you, both of you.
You're amazing.
Hey, if you spot it, you got it. Good or bad, light or darkness. If you spot something in someone else, you have it.
That's a very simplified version of how to live through life, and that is accurate, man. That is accurate.
Hey,
That's
keep
beautiful.
it real. I just keep it real.
Love that, man. That's wonderful.
That's awesome. Great. Well, we'll see you next time after your book's released. We'll
Okay.
do. Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Okay. Love you.
All right. Love you too.
Bye.
Welcome to the Say More section with Lori Jones. Man, I wish, not that life was easy as it seemed like it was for Lori, but I wish I had the stamina to trust that she had. She is about gratitude and trust, man, and it just every answer seemed to come down to her relationship with trust and gratitude, and I love that, man.
Yeah, I mean, because I know a few more details about her life than you probably do, and so I think you kind of said the same thing about Kathy Peak,
Yeah,
that you felt like her life, but both of those ladies' life actually had really a lot of challenges in their life,
yeah,
but they don't choose, they go through it. It's not like they glaze over their challenges. They're in their challenges, but then they come through it and they don't look back to their regrets and they don't hold on to it. And
yeah,
they
man.
stay positive and they stay grateful because both Kathy and Lori are incredibly grateful human beings.
They are, and I think to a certain degree, when you move through traumas, when you find peace in traumatic experiences, it, you almost certainly will develop a deeper gratitude because I don't know if it's the contrast with the trauma or if it's the knowing that it is possible to move through trauma to that degree. You want to carry that with you so other people know that it's possible as well, that you can choose joy, peace, gratitude over trauma, beliefs, or kind of whatever
Or
else.
holding on to trauma because I don't want to seem
Yeah,
like when you're in the midst of the trauma, you've got to be, there was, like you'd said, you saw her, probably within 6 months of Harry passing away, very suddenly. He was 50 years old, and he was just driving in the car. He was at a stoplight, and he had a heart attack and died right there. And the ambulance came, but they couldn't revive him. He was gone. Yeah. And so she had a lot of tears, but she had her tribe around her.
yeah.
No.
Thank you for just making that
Yeah.
holding on to trauma. It's the
Yes.
not processing through it,
Yeah.
not facing it, um, and
And identifying with
correct.
it becoming that part of your identity. Because I mean, that was Jocelyn. Hopefully she'll come on and we'll interview her sometime. But and she'll even tell you that Sheila had lost her husband in a car accident. They were hit head on with the truck and he was dead instantly, and she should have died. She had all kinds of surgeries. But I met her 3 years after the accident, and it was a huge part of her identity. Now, granted, she was still in the healing process with her body, her mind, everything. But it would be no matter who I introduced her to for the next 2 years, that within 5 minutes of knowing her, you would know that story about her.
Yeah, yeah, and that is how strong it can become. It can become our identity, and then it can become the only thing we identify with, and then it becomes, finding other things maybe more traumatic to identify with, and it can get out of control if you don't face it and allow that healing process to actually take place. And I was listening to somebody talk about grieving and mourning um, and how we're missing the values and the qualities of grieving and mourning. A lot of cultures in the past, or a lot of cultures still, they'll grieve for a long period of time. The spouse will wear black for a specific amount of time, and to signify to the community that they're in mourning, that they're in grieving, and that's a cue to give them space or to kind of. I'm kind of putting words in this situation, but basically be there and watch for that person and give them what they might need in those moments. And it's an identifier during the mourning process, during the grieving process, and then you come out of the mourning and you come out of the grieving and you're healed from that experience. And I certainly don't know in my culture or my family that we've talked too much about that. We talk about the loss and we talk about the space, but there's not a lot of tools on healing from that process. You have a funeral, you go through the the normal things, but there's a period of time after that healing needs to be taking place, and we don't really emphasize that a lot. And I think it's important to do that.
Yeah, so you don't hold, so you don't, it doesn't become your identity. Because what happens is if you don't process something fully, whether it's a death or a trauma or car accident or a loss of a job or a divorce, what happens is if you party it out or distract yourself and not feel and process it properly, then it keeps showing up in other ways. Like some people I know, when they haven't processed their pain, they'll be very teary at the smallest situations, or they'll be very frustrated at the smallest situations, or they don't sleep very well, or they struggle with depression or anxiety, and really that is usually because of sort of unprocessed emotions that are still hanging on. There's still niggles. But so if you process it fully, then it's gone. It doesn't mean you forget about the person. It's just that you've allowed the emotion to feel and move through, and like you said, grieve the loss if it is a death or whatever it is. And yeah, we don't have that as part of our culture. I was even talking to a friend of mine the other day. This sounds like a weird jump to do, but she was expecting her cycle, and her cycle wasn't happening, and she felt bloated and stuff. And I was like, I learned this many years ago with the transcendental meditation people when I went to Fairfield, Iowa. This TM meditator of many years, she was like, oh, she's on her cycle, so she's gonna stay in her room all day. And I was like, what do you mean? She goes, oh, well, in it used to be when they, like in tribal cultures and stuff, they would have, it's known as the red tent, or they'd have women, they would go away, and it wasn't because they were shunned or because they're dirty. It was because there's a very intuitive time, and because they could go, and also they don't have a lot of energy, so they could just go and meditate and be quiet and conserve their energy and utilize their intuition, and then give that like 2 days for themselves. And in our culture, we, women like work through their cycle and, take aspirin to get through it all. And so we kind of do that with everything, is like, we don't listen to our bodies. We don't listen to the different, different cycles of emotions and things.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we're it's funny how connected we are outwardly. We're very disconnected inwardly in a lot of ways. And, I think that's what's really powerful about Lori is, she is extremely connected at a period of time that she's giving a massage, and it's her service to this life. And I think, she seems to be very devout in her staying present in that, and that's a holy experience for her, I think. And you can, I think in context of the healing and the grieving and working through, I think that's showcased in how she met her current partner. If she had not moved through the traumas of Harry, when she's at that space, the venue that he shot his last music video in, and if she wasn't done, working through that and healing from that process, you can be consumed by the identity. Oh, this is where Harry shot his last music video. Oh, I'm back in the trauma
story, and the trauma with them.
Instead, okay, I've grieved, I've healed, I've done the work, and now I'm fully present. What is available for me now? And in that space, instead of seeing the darkness or the pain of that situation, it opened up, affirmations to move forward with her life through that, feeling reaffirmed by the loved one loss to move forward. And she came to tears describing the relationship she currently has.
Mm-hmm.
When we don't heal and we don't move through these traumas, and we hold on to them as our identity, we're not making ourselves available for the joy that's constant
on the other side.
Yeah.
Mm.
Constantly trying to find you. There's peace,
Beautiful.
joy. It's it's constantly looking to be found by us. And
Mm.
it's funny because we use things. It's like, well, I'm just not lucky enough to have those things. Well, yes, maybe a little bit, but if you're not readying yourself to receive grace, it's going to be very hard to find grace. So,
Well, it's about being grateful for what you have in this moment. I mean, I've got some people I work with, a few different ones that are constantly comparing themselves to other people. And it's like, and first of all, when you compare yourself to anybody, you lose 50% of the time and you win 50% of the time. And also you can't really see clearly because you never really know what's going on in somebody's life. It's what you project of what you think you
yeah,
see. And it just causes you suffering to compare. Well, they're closer to their children than I am. My children aren't close to me. They don't call me all the time.
yeah,
The different things like that. Um but to be grateful for in the moment for what you do have. And I had one client I worked with for many years, and I had to teach her how to be grateful. um she didn't know that she didn't realize that she could be grateful for just waking up in the morning,
mm,
because that, you know what I'm saying, like I had to
yeah.
teach her that.
Wow, that's I'm becoming more and more present to the the lacking of, I don't know. It seems like we don't realize that we're allowed to feel grateful, or we're allowed to feel worthy. We're there's a lot of this I've seen kind of come up in a lot of things, and especially with kind of the culture of the times. And there's a lot of communities that don't realize, and people as individuals that don't realize that they're allowed to feel good about themselves because we're so, I don't know. I don't, this comparison game that you're talking about, and that it seems it's, we're so used to comparing ourselves to each other. If you want to, you're going to find that everybody's better than you in almost every other way. You can find that very easily.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a unique piece that we hold, and that's our filters. That's our experience. That's the way we manifest spirit into reality with our being is a very unique process. And it's interesting to me that we don't even know, like you said, you're people don't know they're allowed to be grateful, or how to be grateful. How do I do that? And that's an interesting thing that I'm thankful I've not had to discover. I have been thankful. I've been very lucky. I have, had the experience of discernment and realizing, oh, well, Jesus, I'm really grateful for this right now. And I've had access to these experiences. And so I think it's important to have these conversations like we had with Lori, where it's, and Kathy for that matter, yeah, I had a lot of shit happen in my life, and it was hard. And there were a lot of things that brought me to tears, and things that it never seemed like I would get over, or never, not get over, excuse me, things that I would never heal from. And, but I did. And now I'm thankful to have had that pain. I'm thankful, and I've used that pain to expand my sense of gratitude and my sense of servitude. That's a profound level of faith and trust and gratitude, and she embodies that, and she always has. I've always known her in that way. So
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, it's because we live that way, we don't realize how hard it is for other people, that they don't get it because they think, well, oh, I'm grateful because I've got money in the bank. I'm grateful because I'm successful or whatever. It's not just the obvious. I'm grateful because I get to take a trip to the Bahamas or whatever. It's not the obvious things. It's like I said, it's just like waking up in the morning. We're not guaranteed to wake up in the morning. We're not guaranteed even the next breath.
Right.
And COVID has taught us that, and so, but to even find the gratitude during the COVID experience how amazing is it that we have Zoom and FaceTime and all these things that if COVID would have happened 20 years ago, we wouldn't have been able to stay connected.
Right. Oh, it would have been far worse.
Way different, right? And so that's what I feel like Lori embodies, that she's grateful for absolutely everything, including having met Harry and even having gone through the grief of the loss of Harry.
Yeah.
Like you had said, thankful for the lessons.
Yes. And I think she's grateful to be grateful. There's another subtlety to that, is having the ability to have these profound, deep, rich experiences of gratitude. You can be grateful for even that. Have gratitude that you understand how to have gratitude. Have gratitude that we can serve one another. That's another thing she really kind of embodies, is I'm just thankful that I can share this feeling with people, and I'm directly connected to their experience in this, and it's a light for a portion of their experience in this life, and being grateful for that and being able to share. These are not objective things. These are not finances. These are not houses. These are gratitude for the experiences of being connected to one another. That is the depth of gratitude that I think we're talking about here. Just be grateful about everything.
And because whatever you focus on grows.
Right.
So when you focus on your lack of what you don't have, and it's like, well, I don't have a new car. I don't have, a good relationship with my son, or a good relationship with my son-in-law, or whatever it is, or my sister. Focus on the relationships you do have. Focus on, when you're grateful and you live in that state of abundance instead of the state of lack, like I was talking about the pencils.
Yes.
If you're constantly looking for life to give you something, like, it's like, well, that's not doing that for me, and that person didn't do that for me, and that store doesn't have what I wanted. It's just, you can feel it even in my words. It's like a constricted way to live, and being grateful is an expanded, joyful way to live.
Yes.
Like, you can just feel it in your body.
Yeah.
And then your body responds. People that live in gratitude are healthy, and people that live in negativity and
lack,
me, and lack, they get sick.
Yeah. Because I'm lacking in health. I'm not healthy. I'm lacking in health. I'm focused on lacking in health. And that's a great way to put it. And, it's a subtle shift of perspective. It's a subtle shift of words, but it sends you in a profoundly different path. Feeling that abundance, it's like, I have plenty of gratitude to give away. You're going to feel that, and people are going to feel that, and like, damn, I got abundance of gratitude to give away. And now you're not like looking for gratitude, because you're living from that space of gratitude. And that's with anything, it's how you frame it. And I think one thing we did bring up in the podcast was, we tend to monetize everything. Well, what's the cash value of this transaction? If I'm spending time with you, what's the cash value of that? How do I monetize this interaction in USD? It's like, there is more value that can't be articulated monetarily in these subtle experiences of joy, of sharing, of abundance, of gratitude, all these things that we're talking about. There's a value to it, because as you give it away, it it's almost like it fills you back up in with gratitude, with more of whatever. If you feel, I feel so joyful, I'm going to give that joy away. You can't, have you ever given joy away and watched somebody experience that joy and be like, nah, I'm kind of pissed off now? No,
Right. Exactly.
it compounds itself as you give that joy away. And now everything just gets silly. You're like, now we're both laughing for no reason. And I love it. And it's, that's what it is when you give that joy away.
And it's the trickle down effect too. It's like, we don't even realize, when you smile at somebody and you lock their eyes and you say, have a great day. A lot of times because you're just exuberating your joy, but maybe you made that person's day because everybody's been kind of crappy, say like a cashier, and so you made them feel really good for like at least a half an hour in their day. And imagine if everybody was doing that rather than like complaining.
Yes.
It's like it does really trickle down. I realized that with my kids in India, that I'm a little bit of a figurehead to them because I'm kind of Santa Claus mommy. I see them 2 or 3 months a year, other than last year, or this year, I guess. I saw them last year. Yeah, I saw them last year. It was this year. Yeah.
Hard to know.
Yeah, it was all running together. But I mean, it's like I go there and I love on them, and when I text them and they text me, and it's like, bringing a joy and like a beacon to them that is something different than the world that they're used to. And I didn't even realize that till a few years ago. And it's like, they really, it's totally different than, they've never even, a lot of them have come from villages where they've never even seen a blonde-haired, blue-eyed woman from anywhere, right? And so to be this figure that loves them unconditionally and that sings with them and stuff, it affects them.
Yeah.
And I don't do it because of that. I've always done it. I've always loved, they light up my whole world. But then a few years ago, I started to realize, I do affect their lives. And we all do. We all affect people's lives, and our mood affects people's lives. I had a guy in one of my bands years ago who said, I didn't even realize I'd walked in a bad mood in rehearsal, but whatever. He said, Corinne, your mood affects the whole band and the whole rehearsal. And so you can't walk in here in a bad mood. And I was like, that always stuck with me. I was probably 21 when that happened. And it's true. It's like you affect, your joy and abundance and gratitude affects others, as does your depressed state.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And that kind of comes down, I mean, that's the golden rule. Treat others as you'd want to be treated. If you want somebody to come in the room and every time just make you feel miserable as shit and depressed, like, does anybody really want that? Do we want people to operate and every time they come in their space, you're just like, God, I can't believe this person's here again. I feel so shitty. Does anybody want that? And yet that's in a lot of ways how we live our lives. And maybe not even to that degree, but like a little acknowledgement of happiness, a little acknowledgement of sincerity towards each other. It goes a long way.
Or you be the light.
Well, right.
Because no, I wasn't saying you weren't saying that, but like some people will be like, well, that person is never kind to me. My neighbor never smiles at me. That's a good one. My neighbor never, because I had a neighbor that never smiled at me. And it was my goal. I would smile huge, like for a whole year until finally I got a little smirk from him. But I wasn't going to be, because that's what happens to a lot of times is like, oh, well, they don't smile at me, so I'm not going to smile at them.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that
doesn't have to be the rule.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, man. We have these really subtle and very minute interactions. We have all the opportunity in the world in these very passing moments with each other to shine, happiness or peace or whatever, or like I said, acknowledgement. Just acknowledge, like, hey, I see you, and I hope you have a good day. That goes a long way to somebody who has had people shit on them the other 7 hours, 59 minutes and 45 seconds. You know, that 15 seconds that you're interacting with a cashier, acknowledge them.
Yeah.
They might not acknowledge it. They may not even receive it, but like,
Yeah, they might not receive it, but it doesn't matter.
yeah, it's still an opportunity. And I think we take way too many of those opportunities for granted, distracted in our own bullshit. So
That's what one of the things I find hard about the masks, because I'm a big smiler at people. So what I try to do is I try to, like, my eyes are pretty twinkly, but I try to twinkle my eyes even more so they can tell. That was a game I played at Christmas time with my family. Actually, yeah, exactly. It was you had to tell what mood people. You had to take a picture of yourself with a mask on when you were smiling and when you were frowning and when you were angry, to see if they could tell. We could pick out which face.
that's hilarious.
That was a good Zoom game.
We need the cues, man. You can't, it's hard to get a smile across in letters on a, computer screen. So we need these. We are creatures that, we feel a little bit more secure when everybody's smiling. We feel even more secure when we know why they're smiling, so it's like, give people a reason to smile and have fun. Life is fun. And Lori has always been a person that I see her and there's a bubbly joy and, things are cool. Things are cool when Lori's around.
Yeah, she always lights up a room.
Yeah.
Always. Not when she just shows up for massage, when she shows up for yoga, she just comes in smiling with a big hug and a lot of love, and that's just who she is all the time.
Yes. So go be a Lori.
Be a Lori.
Thanks Lori again, and I've enjoyed this night, and I enjoy all these nights, so thank you so much.
All right, good night.
Good night.